Hi, my name is Crystal Nelson and I'm an ergonomist at Alter Ergo. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how to adjust your office chairs. So a lot of the times when I do an ergonomic assessment, this is one area where I see a lot of people not changing or exploring, and the two reasons I hear is that they're not really sure what all the knobs and levers do, and the other reason I hear is people really aren't sure where they would go with their chair if they knew how to adjust it. So let's go over a few of these things. We'll go from head to toe, and we're purposefully starting at your feet today because our feet are a good part of the foundation for when you are sitting in your office chair. So let's start with your feet flat on the floor. I am okay if you cross your legs at your ankles from time to time throughout your day. Try not to make that most of the day, but for short periods of time, it's okay. Definitely try to avoid crossing at your knees. This is not good for many reasons. So keep your feet flat on the floor. Once your feet are flat on the floor, then take a look at your knees and your hips. So these two joints should be anywhere from 90 to 100 degrees. And the reason for that is because it allows your thigh to be parallel with the floor. We want our thighs to be parallel with the floor because most of the weight will then be distributed through this part of our body. Our joints are not good at sustaining forces and high amounts of pressure. The more we can distribute that weight throughout our thighs, the better it will be. Now, let's say I lower my chair and my knees are now higher than my hips. This puts too much force at these joints. So I can raise my chair up to the needed height, so my knees and hips are at 90 degrees. Now let's say you're pregnant or you need more space for your larger growing baby. Some of the office chairs out there have a seat pan that either stays parallel with the floor or it can forward tilt. If you're pregnant, definitely take advantage of that forward tilt option because you're going to allow for more space at your hips so your belly can rest comfortably. Once you have your knees and your hips at 90 to 100 degrees, which you can vary slightly throughout the week, you don't have to stay here, stay moving even in that seated position. Your next step is to take a look at your seat pan. So the seat pan should be about 1 to 2 inches away from the back of your leg. So with this seat pan, this one rolls forward to adjust forward and back. A lot of the times with most seat pans, there's a lever on the left-hand side. You pull it up and then you move your hips to scoot your chair forward and back. So ideally you want to have a little space behind your leg, and that will avoid any high amounts of pressure on the soft tissues back here. So there should be at least an area where you can put your hands behind your leg. The next item is to make sure you're scooted all the way back in your chair. So you can slightly bend forward, scoot your tush back, and then relax against your backrest. This helps to avoid an awkward hip position. Now, if I wouldn't do that, a lot of human beings in general, we kind of sit in this position. Well, that allows for a huge gap behind my leg here. So practice that good posture. So this is one of those things that's a habit, and a new chair will not break that habit of slouching. So you have to be conscious of where you are seated within your chair. So remember, scoot your tush all the way back, and I know I'm repeating this, but this is a very big problem when I do my ergonomic assessments is how people are aware of where their pelvis sits in their chair. Once you have your tush scooted all the way back, then you want to make sure that your lumbar support is giving you adequate support, and then you want to get support all the way up through your mid shoulder blade. If it goes above that like my chair does, that is completely okay. Just make sure you're getting the most support that you need from your lumbar area to your mid-shoulder blade. And then some office chairs have an adjustable lumbar support, usually along this area right here. We all have curved lumbar area. Some people's is curved more than others. So definitely put the lumbar support in your low back, but exactly at a certain point is up to you, and wherever feels comfortable is just great. And you might notice that my headrest is tipped back. Headrests aren't necessarily needed for this chair in particular. If I were to use the headrest, it kind of puts me into a forward head position, and it's really not that comfortable. So I end up just tipping it back. And most of the time when I do ergonomic assessments, I'm not recommending headrests. Headrests are mostly for people who have weaker neck muscles and have a tough time keeping their head upright. All right, so let's go back to our knees and our hips, which are at 90 to 100 degrees. And our elbows should also be at 90 to 100 degrees. One way to figure this out is to lower your armrests completely. Get them out of the way. Relax your shoulders down and back and bend your elbows at 90 degrees. Once you have this position, then you bring your armrest up to you. So at this position, you are now supported with your shoulders down and back and promoting that good upright posture. If you have scoliosis, so that's where your spine curves to the side, you may find that one armrest is a little higher than the other, and that's completely okay. You want to support that position that's most comfortable for you. But if you have a neutral spine and no curvatures, no lateral curvatures, then both armrests should be equal in height to support your elbow at 90 to 100 degrees. Some armrests can go out and in, and I recommend your armrest to be at a position where your shoulders are at a 20-degree abduction position. So this allows your arms to rest comfortably by your sides, not too close where you're pressing in on your sides, but not too far out either, because this puts a lot of pressure in your upper back and your spine, even on your neck area. So just comfortably have your armrests out by your sides. And then other armrests can move forward and back. These should be at a position that supports your forearm, not your wrist. So your wrist should be free floating. So what this would look like is your forearm would be parallel with the floor and your wrist is free floating. That way, when you're going to type, your arms are right in front of you and your armrests are supporting your arms and not your wrist. If we put a lot of firm pressures on our wrist, this can cause a lot of problems down the road. If you do have a chair that has the ability for the armrest to pivot in, you can slightly turn these. That way you are aligning your forearms with your keyboard position and your typing position. So once you get your chair fully adjusted to you and your needs, make sure you're still getting up and moving around. So the goal is to get up and move at least once per hour for 5 to 15 minutes. And then when you come back to sit down, it's completely okay if you do lean a little bit more to the left and right. It's okay if you cross your feet at your ankles like I previously mentioned. Just make sure that you don't get stuck in that one position for too long. This will help you feel better throughout your workday. If you're interested in learning more ergonomic tips and tricks, feel free to follow us on our YouTube channel or visit our website to read our blog. Thank you.